Ooh,
Definitely
ooh.
spooky.
Yeah.
Uh, we're happy to kick off this episode, this special Halloween episode, because Neil already canceled my big project of me changing into my Halloween outfit. That was literally a last minute network plug.
What
Plug
what
was
was it
pulled.
gonna be? What was it gonna be? I don't even know.
I went as David S. Pumpkins, but in the best way possible, in one of those like matching, I guess the young people, they call it a fit. So like it's the shirt and the pants, or in this case, it's a short sleeve shirt and shorts. It feels like very bro-y now. I feel like now just bros wear it when it's bros gone wild. But incredibly comfortable. And one thing you have to understand, Halloween in Austin it's tough. It's a real tease because the leaves are falling on the ground, but it's also 90 degrees. Like it's not 105 degrees, but you're just like, man, you see these commercials, you know, for like pumpkin spice latte and cider, and you're like, it's hot. I mean, hot. I've been sweating. I'm gonna sweat later today. So, anyways,
Yeah. No, I mean that's interesting. I do feel like Halloween and Christmas, it's very Northeast centric in the media, and a
yeah.
lot. I remember watching an episode of 90210, and it was like there was like a Christmas episode, and there was like a
Hmm.
guardian angel, and it was like I was like, oh, that's so weird. It's just like sunny and nice on Christmas, but that's what it is. And now it's kind of like that here sometimes because of climate change, but we won't talk about
Yeah.
that. It's a left wing conspiracy, and that's none of our gosh darn business, Allie.
You know what? I have to tell you, I think I'm ready to go. In the years I spent dangling on on this little edge of life, going, oh, I want to hang on to my TV show and know that I should just stay out of politics. And now we're in a doomsday apocalyptic situation where really
Nothing left to
basic
lose,
things.
man. We are all Michael Douglas in Falling Down, which
It's
I
true.
haven't seen, but I imagine it's about he has nothing left to lose, right? Isn't that the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the dude just went nuts and shot up a bunch of people. Not really
Okay,
gonna go that route.
I want to walk this back, Ollie. We are not all Michael Douglas in Falling Down.
Good move. Good move.
I didn't know what happened. I just knew, like, he was like, I'm so upset. What if maybe we're all like John Q? We're all Denzel because we all are about to lose
Also
our.
had guns in there too. We
Damn
need,
it!
yeah. This,
We
listen.
are all Marty McFly.
Here you
Traveling back
go.
just to make sure that our parents get together, and then they do, and we're like, why did we do that? Oh, because otherwise we wouldn't exist.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
Speaking of Marty
Yeah.
McFly, my kid was Marty McFly years ago. Remember when I talked about the 31 days of Halloween? When my daughter was a baby, she did 31 days of Halloween. That's right. She was but a 9 month old, 8 month old. And yes, we
Oh,
put in 31 costumes for her very first Halloween. And then when our son was born 2 years
uh-huh.
later, everybody said, so you're going to do 31 costumes for Zeke? And we said, no, we're not. We're not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet your wife had to step in there. It's funny. I'm just going to say for the record, and this isn't just about picking a side or taking away your dreams, because you pulled some stuff off. Those are serious dad moves. That's commitment. It's work. End of the day, you got out of bed and you put on a costume for your child for 31 days in a row. But when you drop the age, then the image changed in my mind. That's also like when I put, the Santa shirt on my dog. You know what I mean? It's like, I
Oh,
dressed up
a
my
hundred
dog.
percent, 100%. And just to explain, I think maybe I've told you before, but this is the Halloween episode, so I'm sure we're having some new listeners, new viewers. Welcome, welcome. This is what we do. Typically, we talk about fatherhood, and now today we're talking about it in the context of Halloween. Topical. So what we did, excuse me, when we did the 31 days of Halloween, so my wife didn't celebrate Halloween growing up. It was, it was
What's up with that? Let's get that's juicy right there. I
she always
think.
says, you talk about me on that podcast. And I said, well, it doesn't matter. You don't listen to it. So here we go. Um, So she didn't celebrate Halloween growing up because grew up religious, and this was a what is it like a pagan holiday. Um, I kind of think it's just a secular,
Wow.
just an American holiday now. It's become right, but anyway, and so she said, well, I didn't celebrate it growing up. It's our kid's first Halloween, and we both had a lot of time on our hands, and we said, hey, oh, and she, to your point. As a baby, she couldn't really be resistant. It's not like a 5-year-old. Our son right now is just like, yeah, I don't know what I want to be.
Yeah.
No, he's like really like grappling. It's like this existential thing. We're like, just pick something, pick a few things. We could do two, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did these 31 costumes, and yes, it was a little bit like, yeah, I think that's a great analogy. Putting your dog in a Santa costume. This was, we do have a dog parade locally. Do you guys have a Halloween dog parade by you?
I would not put it past the city of Austin. The culture here would I'm sure it's happening.
It lends itself, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's it's not off brand. I certainly haven't sought it out. I mean, this is like a town where people are just like, can I bring my dog? Like it's a hospital. Like it's, like or what gets me? We had friends who did this, and I think it was just wrong. They put like the medical whatever shirt on their dog, making it seem like their dog was a service animal, and it was not a service animal. It was a great dog, by the way, great dog. However, it's not a service animal. Like you are, it's not okay. And you see it at the airport. You see it at the airport, and you're kind of like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You
Calling
know,
calling BS on that. Yeah. My so let's talk. We have a lot to talk about. Halloween
Halloween,
is it's
Halloween.
almost as expansive as fatherhood. I mean, what's a bigger topic?
In
Halloween.
your world, it
Yeah.
is. In your world, it is. You know
Well,
what? I will say
is it
this, and
over?
this
Is
is
it done? As at 13? Is Halloween just like, yeah, get some candy for the neighborhood
I
kids, right?
meant specifically in reference to a man whose mindset is like, we are going to knock out three. You extended the holiday times 31. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
like that,
I'm
that's
glad you brought that
exceptional.
up because that is going to bring it back to the cultural relevance. A lot of people are upset about this. They're saying Halloween is starting earlier and earlier, and it used to just be one day. If Halloween fell on a Wednesday, that was it. You had your Wednesday Halloween. Maybe the kids dress up at school, you go trick or treating, and it's over. And now
Hmm.
it's November. And the day before, oh, Halloween's coming up tomorrow. Oh, you excited? What are you going to do? But you're not doing anything on Tuesday. Halloween is Wednesday, right? So now it's a whole month. And,
Mm,
I don't know if this is capitalism or just we need something to hold on to excite us. But it's starting in
yes,
September now. I mean,
yes,
here we are, October, 31st is the day, but I don't know, this will air a few days before because it's Halloween week. It's like your birthday week,
yeah.
and so what are your thoughts on this? Is Halloween too long? Is all of October now devoted to Halloween? There's other things happening. There's Indigenous Peoples Day. There's Italian Heritage Day, Columbus Day, whichever you celebrate, depending
Yeah,
on where you fall on the political or cultural spectrum. But
yeah.
I mean,
You
what
know,
do you
I
think?
mean, let's put it this way, like you're not wrong. I think that your wife brings up an interesting point that, you know, she kind of shunned it for a bit, or, there was some other context of like, wait, what are we getting all worked up for? What is the origins of this? And we've kind of turned it into like, look, an excuse to buy stuff. It's an excuse to buy stuff, really. And maybe if you're an adult, that becomes a party, and if you're a kid, it's like, I don't know, probably toys. It probably turns into toys and video games, really.
Right.
But it's an excuse to buy stuff. It is interesting how, and it's true, this I'm guilty of it. I'm not a big, huge Halloween person. I don't watch a lot of horror movies, but when I found out that Halloween this year fell on a Friday, I was like, oh, great. Great. What does that mean? Oh, it's going to turn into a 96-hour fest. Halloween's on a Friday. What are we going to do Saturday? Maybe we'll have a Sunday fun day out of it. Look at me. Look at my mindset.
Ollie,
Yeah,
I'm a little concerned about your math skills.
I know.
96 hours?
Wait, 24, 40, 72. Yeah, okay.
Is
We
this
go
why you
through.
didn't become a doctor?
I mean, yes, that literally is it. Like, the thing is, you nailed it. I just don't care about being right. You saw me calculate how many hours are in 3 days, but I thought 96 was
It
good
sounds
enough.
good. It sounds good. It's a good like comedy
It was a
number.
good year for me, 96, listening to the
Oh,
champion.
hey.
Yeah,
It was a fine year. I was 11. Um,
I knew that.
so
I knew that'd be
so
like,
the
I
funny
was
thing about the
11.
the 31 costumes, I'm really milking this from 7 years ago, is so my when we did it, you know who loved it? My mother-in-law, who is the ironically the reason that my wife didn't
Shunned it.
celebrate Halloween,
Shunned
and she,
Halloween.
and she was just like, "Oh, I love more." She couldn't get enough of the 31 costumes and her adorable granddaughter and all these different costumes.
So how did she
She's
come
almost
around? This is very interesting because you would think religious
fine.
convictions are
Hey
everything.
man, life happens, you know. Yeah, I think the wheels come off. You become a little bit more open. Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing. I wonder as you get older, do you become more open or more closed or maybe both? You know, it's kind of an existential thing.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly like proofs in the pudding. Your mother-in-law raising your future wife was like, no Halloween, and now she's just like pro Halloween.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
that's funny. So that's funny. Yeah, and
And it
so
took your manic mind that was like 31 costumes, 30. We gotta come up with 31 costumes.
hey
Dude,
now.
that is it's like memento level
Um
crazy.
all right, so let's talk costumes. So my daughter is going to be Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters with two of her buds, Rumi, Zoe, and the other one. I forget.
Did she
Um,
coordinate? Did she already make the plans? Because
Yeah, so
that's a
I
big
believe
thing.
one of the girls is wearing a homemade costume, and the other two we just bought. We're a bought online K-pop demon.
Gotta ask, because you are in New York City, which is a huge city. A lot of creatives live there.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
yeah, yeah.
find out, like, oh, the parents are like, oh, yeah, I work in wardrobe for,
Ah,
on a set or something like that. Is there a little inside baseball here? Does she have a leg up? Or are they just more of like the hippie nature of like, yeah,
no,
we're
I
just going to
think
make
this
our own thing?
friend, it's just a little bit maybe. We want it to be special. I don't know. You know what's interesting is so and now let's pivot to our own childhoods, which is what I really care about. Um,
Mm.
so when do you have any stories that you tell Brearley that she's like, oh my God, this thing from fourth grade, Ollie, get over it, or is that just me?
I tend to repeat the same things over and over
Yeah.
again,
Because
especially
like,
at this point
my
with my
wife will be
marriage.
like, I'll be like, oh, well, in third grade, was it third grade or fourth grade? In fourth grade, when I was the mask for Halloween, Jim Carrey's the mask.
Well aware.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim Carrey's the mask. I was the mask, and I bought the rubber mask, the rubber green mask,
Mm.
and then I had like a yellow like button down. So this was how it used to be. I don't know if this is how it still is. I had like my dad's yellow like old like button down, and then like a black vest, kind of like old clothes that you repurpose, and then
Yeah.
Richie Mazaway, he bought the entire costume. And so he had like the official, like it fit him perfectly, it was like bedazzled. However, his mask, I remember, was cloth and it just had like little eye holes cut out. And so I actually thought, so it was this thing of, I actually had the mask that resembled the real mask from the film because it was rubber and not just
Where'd you
like
get your
a
mask from?
it was
Because
at
you're
a
clear.
store. Oh my God, that was like one of my favorite things is like you put on that mask and you become. Do you remember? Well, you were older than me, but like when I was a kid, they used to have like Bill Clinton masks,
Oh,
Um,
dude.
they had like rubber masks.
What's
Yeah,
the surfer? The ex-presidents are all surfers.
yeah.
Point Break. Point Break.
Okay, yeah. And so
You're
really,
bringing me into a big costume moment for myself.
oh, I love
Probably
those
peak.
rubber masks.
Oh
So, all
yeah,
right,
peak,
let me
peak.
let me run through as many. I should have made a better, more comprehensive list. I'm going to go on my old archive. These are the costumes I remember wearing growing up. I was Spider-Man. That I think for a few times. I
Got it.
was the mask we established.
Yeah.
Um, I was a Ninja Turtle.
Which
I
one?
was
Which?
probably Mikey. I don't know. I was Dracula. And there's a great picture of me holding a. Did Dracula have like a knife? Was that a thing? because I have a photo of me holding a knife to my sister. This is a very violent episode, which is appropriate because it's
Yeah,
Halloween.
it's
Knife to my
Halloween.
sister's neck, and I'm Dracula, and she's like I don't know what she was. And then our little sister was Baby Bop, if you know from the Barney world. And
Mm.
then one year, okay, this was my last year trick or treating. This was seventh or eighth grade, and I was our uh, music teacher. I was I was yeah, Mr. Silvoy. And I just painted on like a goatee, I have a distinct memory, Ollie, of
You went as your music teacher.
yeah. It was it was starting to be ironic,
Who
we're
would
starting to
who
do those
would
like
get
funny.
that?
Hmm?
You can't ask like adults for candy. They're like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "My teacher from school."
No, they just saw they saw like a young kid with like a drawn on goatee with makeup, Trying to think of the other costumes. I'll look back, but I remember this. I remember being in seventh or eighth grade, and an older brother of someone in our neighborhood, kind of like almost like a movie, rode by on a bike, and like the way I'm imagining it in my brain is he went like this, Ollie. I don't know if you can see, like like
Yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
sideways, and he goes,
yeah.
"Aren't you guys too old to be trick or treating?" And I remember feeling so like sad and ashamed and embarrassed. And you
Yeah.
remember how old were you when you stopped trick or treating?
You bring up so many interesting things because part of me is just like, when did it end? And I want to say, it may have ended on a high note. I think it was sixth grade because I feel like seventh grade, eighth grade, like I had gone to a new school, and I don't know. I don't think I was on the hunt for candy, to be honest. Like I definitely remember some stuff. Definitely remember a few iconic costumes. Speaking of shame, I did receive a fair amount of Halloween costume shame. Like, my parents, especially like I think my dad, because my mom, schizophrenic, wasn't really hands on. My dad would
By the
come
way,
home. Yeah,
perfect for Halloween. Let's unpack it.
totally. You know what? My mom had the best Halloween costume of all. She was a schizophrenic mom. I know. Oh my God. Where's she off to? Oh man, this is therapeutic to laugh at this. Still alive, by the way. Amazing. In her 80s. But my dad would come home from being a doctor after an 11-hour day, and he's just like, "Now what? What do you want? I'll buy you something. I'll buy you a costume." And then I would go to school because I feel like that was the big thing: is you wore your Halloween costume to school, obviously elementary school we're talking about here. And I remember distinctively, and I think I was thinking about this when we were talking about my own son and his needs for Halloween. And I was like, I remember like there were kids. They'd be like, "Oh, Alex Kahn got a store bought. It's store bought." I was shamed for a store bought costume. And I look back and I'm like, my mom's schizophrenic. My dad has to be a doctor for 12 hours a day in the hospital. No one's sewing anything for me, you know?
But
I'm sorry.
isn't that so funny that like here we're talking about the literal opposite. Here I was like embarrassed that I had this cobbled together costume from home, and
Yeah,
you were feeling embarrassed that they bought it. It's just like there's no winning. It's just kids are mean, or just kids
yeah,
kids are mean. That's it.
yeah, yeah. Now I will say this though. Eventually, I peaked. Let's bring it up ended on a high note for me. Sixth grade was a good year for me. I think I really hit a stride before it all came crashing down in seventh grade, and I had to go to the new school. But at sixth grade, like, I felt confident. It didn't matter what Sarah Pirro said about my store bought costumes. And I took third place in most creative. What did I go as, you ask, Neil? Co-host of World's Greatest Dad and World's Greatest Dad. I went as Ronald Reagan, and I wore exactly that mask you're talking about, that
Uh-huh.
rubber mask that
Uh-huh.
like Patrick Swayze probably wore in Point Break to rob a bank. And I wore that in my little brown body, chubby, but short, with a suit, 80s suit, and a Ronald Reagan mask. And also, this was like peak Reagan America. We're just
Mm.
coming off the third Rambo, or maybe we're about to see the third Rambo. And, I think I was, very much influenced by Michael J. Fox. I fancied myself, a Reagan Republican. And so, of course, people were like, of course he's Ronald Reagan. So, yeah, that was a real peak thing for me.
So much here. This is not the first time that Michael J. Fox has come up on this podcast. I mean, look, I'm guilty too. I'm more of a Back to the Future guy, Family Ties wasn't like my thing. I was
Hmm.
too young. But, this Alex P. Keaton character, like, really had such an
Profound.
impression on you. Yeah.
Profound, absolutely. And I think part of it too was just like I didn't go out to the movies that often,
Mm,
right? It was for some reason just a far bigger deal to go to the movies for, whatever. But
mm.
I don't know, it's weird. My dad worked all the time, and so I just like click on the old TV and I mean, I was a big three guy. This is before the days of Fox. So if it was on, I watched it. I mean, that's probably why my world is so shattered because I grew up with the big three networks. You know what I mean? I really
Sure.
believed in television networks. I believed in you, Neil. And now it doesn't really matter. It's all
Yeah.
packaged into
Yeah.
streaming blocks.
Sure. You know, It's fun. I'm just realizing, I'm sure I'm not the first to make this connection, that Justine Bateman played Michael J. Fox's sister.
Yeah,
And, Michael
Mallory.
J. Fox was Teen Wolf,
Hmm.
and then Jason Bateman was Teen Wolf 2.
Yeah.
So they really just kept it all in the family.
Yeah, it only becomes more full circle through my days in LA. I remember a friend of mine was like, "You won't believe who such and such met and now is working with," and I'm like, "Who?" Kent Bateman. I'm like, "Okay," and he goes, "That's Jason Bateman and Justine Bateman's dad." Because like they had a whole thing where it was like he was like the manager, and I think maybe some things did. You don't really want
Yeah,
your parent
yeah,
necessarily managing your career. And I
sure.
guess Bateman talked about how Teen Wolf like two, because he was in Teen Wolf 2, TOO, didn't wasn't good for him.
Mm.
Wasn't good for him.
It
Really
was
enjoyed his
it's all
work
the
in the
all
Hocus.
the shaving he had to do, or
It didn't. You know what I mean? It just didn't. There's a reason why Michael passed. Michael passed on it, and
yeah,
it just wasn't the pot of gold
yeah.
he thought it was going to be. But obviously, it worked out
All right,
later.
let's talk about Halloween movies for a second. So, I think this last week again. It's October, so there was a movie in the park. They do these movies in the park, which is really nice until it gets too cold. And they
Mm,
showed Hocus Pocus, and we brought the kids. Kids are 7 and 5. Um, we were a little concerned. Is this going to be too
yeah,
scary for them?
yeah,
Um, at times it was, but for the most part, they enjoyed it. My takeaways were, what a fun movie. Like, I can't honestly tell you if I had ever seen Hocus Pocus all the way through.
yeah.
I definitely had memories of it. I don't know if it's just from flipping on TV or it was just kind of in the recesses of my brain
Hmm.
permeated through because it was omnipresent in pop culture. But oh my God, it's like so campy, but in like the best way. And it's like kind of, it's almost like a 10 Things I Hate About You, like weirdly feminist, in a,
You know what?
and satirical and clever and fun and smart, but also just kind of like a little Halloween romp. And someone else made the point too. They were like, these movies that were for kids when we were younger, um, they were a little bit like they didn't feel like they were like infantilizing the kids as much because it was like I was like I'm enjoying this as an adult, and you had these great actors in Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy and Jimmy, and then this is a weird thing, and I wrote about this on our Substack, Ali, but Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall are in it. Great, fun, wonderful cameo. They play a married couple. Okay, they're
Wait, aren't
siblings.
they siblings?
Yeah, and
Wait, that's
I thought
weird.
that was odd.
That's yeah. Like, did they could they not find anybody? That just seems
It was a weird
funny.
choice. Luckily, there were no like sex scenes or smooching or anything, but it was odd. It was an odd. I thought it
That's
was odd.
probably one of the most bizarre casting choices I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real reason except for us to talk about this on a podcast decades later
30
and say,
years
this
later.
feels a little awkward.
It
And,
great.
I think nature has set some rules where we shouldn't even, this is hard to bring up the old I word on World's Greatest Dad podcast, but this is what's happened. It's weird. For a second, I was like, listen, sounds like Hocus Pocus held up, but it
Yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
sounds like
Yeah, yeah.
it didn't
No, it
because
did. No,
that
it did.
part is weird.
I'm curious about the sequel now from a few years ago, which I did not see. But Ollie, what are some of your favorite Halloween movies?
It's weird. I feel like, and this is literally as our family, our little unit. We really get into the Christmas movies. You know what I mean? Whether it's like, Briley and I for many years would just salivate when we would like stay up a little late and watch Die Hard, right? But we'd watch all the Christmas. Think of all the Christmas movies we would watch them, right? We don't really watch a lot of Halloween movies per se. I just don't think we are, in that same mindset for Halloween. I will tell you though, and I actually wrote a story about this, and I know this question will come back to movies, but Halloween has been a pretty amazing thing since coming to Austin. Because, you know, this is just more of a suburban setting compared to when we lived in downtown LA, and there was like nowhere to go. We would go to some random park. Like, it was very un-Halloween. It was like you needed to be in the suburbs. It didn't work. Halloween didn't really happen for us for with children. Here it is a party. You go to these neighborhoods and it's like, I mean, people are walking around with drinks. COVID was a exception, but it was like Mardi Gras, but with children. Like, it was a real big deal. So I have like massive fond memories of really just going out trick or treating. That is kind of the big enchilada when it comes to really Halloween as being a father, having a kid. But movies, the only thing I'll tell you is this, and this is just something I really watched growing up, was the Charlie Brown, the Peanuts. That was what I guess it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I don't know. It's like Thanksgiving. They're all great, but that to me is ultimate elite holiday watching, is the Peanut stuff. Sadly, my son's not quite as enamored, because again, we would have to wait for one day of the week where I could watch something animated, Whereas he has buckets of freaking anime to download and stream till his eyeballs fall out. So,
It's an
but yeah,
embarrassment.
I don't know. There's like the typical scary movies. I'm not a big scary movie guy, but I've always been fascinated with the Halloween universe. I feel like that the music and strangely, I have a very traumatic experience watching Halloween with my father. It was just on TV, so it was, not, I don't know, gory. I guess those movies back then weren't. They were more jump scare than like, oh my God, Saw. But we had a German Shepherd growing up, and there's a scene in Halloween when Michael Myers, like the German Shepherd, like finds Michael Myers and is barking, and then the next scene is like the dog whimpering, and you see the dog's leg go limp, and my dad's like, my dog's name was Hobbs. He goes, oh look, he killed Hob, and I'm like, ugh, this is horrible, So there's that to unpack. A lot of weirdness there. I don't know why you would make that joke. That hurts. That hurts. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it sounds like, for me, Halloween pretty much ended by the time seventh grade rolled. But it sounds like Halloween was long-standing tradition for you.
No, I think it ended in, trying to think. I think we probably had a Halloween dance in high school. And so that's where what it turns into is you have the dance. Did you guys have where I was growing up, it was called a cabbage night, which is the night before Halloween. The really adventurous kids, the bad kids, the daredevil kids. the kids who really push it to the limit, the James Deans of our
Uh-huh.
community, would go out and TP houses and throw eggs.
Oh,
And
right. Yeah.
did you
I just
remember
didn't know
this?
cabbage. The
Well,
term
and
was.
it's regional, right? It's like supermarkets. Every area has a different name. What was your night before Halloween called, where kids would throw eggs and toilet paper?
That's the thing is like I wasn't with the fast cry. I was not no James Dean here. So yeah, no, I wasn't invited, Neil.
Well, and I remember like, teachers and community police officers and stuff being like, don't you get in trouble, don't you go out on cabbage night.
Yeah.
Like it was like, don't do drugs, don't go out on cabbage night.
Yeah, I
Make good
just didn't.
choices.
Yeah, no, I wasn't cool enough. I think seventh grade just had a lot of those wonder years. Didn't really get resolved till college. You know, I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't. It's weird. Like, when did it all end? Strangely, though, my son in eighth grade, who
Mm-hmm.
just got his braces off, huge. That went like that. Um, we're trying to figure out his Halloween stuff now, trying to coordinate, making sure he's, got some friends that, it's because, it's like you have to almost kind of pick the neighborhood, if you will. And, kids start to make plans,
Yeah.
I think he has a costume idea. But it is funny, kind of like what you were saying with Zeke. Like, it's kind of like, we got to figure this out. It's a
Yeah.
team decision. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I have to have a calendar schedule.
Will he be going trick or treating?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing it. And I think too, like,
Yeah.
it's not an act that's reserved for little kids here. Like,
Oh, good.
everyone's out. It's a scene. It's a scene. I
Good.
remember I wrote a story for the takeout, and it was all about how, yeah, like it's Halloween is just. I remember doing it in downtown LA, and it was just like, this sucks. And also to your point earlier about the Northeast and how it's like, oh, these holidays are more geared for that.
Mm.
You go to a pumpkin patch. Here, it's really bad, but even in LA, and you're just like, this is no different than 2 months ago. Our weather doesn't change in LA. And here you're like, it's still hot. I went to a pumpkin patch once and I was like, the pumpkins were rotting. Like it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay. Well, I wanted to tell you, Zeke had one, he was funny. He said, he learned about Frankenstein and he said, I don't want to be the monster, I want to be the doctor. And I was like, oh, we could just get you like just a regular doctor costume, and then it just says like Dr. Frankenstein, and then I could be Frankenstein's monster. And my wife was like, stop making it about you.
See, this is elite dad right there. This is elite dad. That's elite,
I was
absolutely.
like, what? He's the doctor. He built me.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I
no.
mean, and let's be honest too. That's kind of like that's the way to play it. You have the kid be like, the scientist. You know what I mean? And yeah, and
Well, what
fun
what are you
fact.
guys going to be? What are you and Brewerly going to dress up as?
I'll probably recycle that David S. Pumpkins outfit.
Mm.
It's great. It's weatherproof. Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. I think Halloween costumes really come down to like, especially as an adult, and if you happen to imbibe, all of a sudden you just turn into some, it's like, oh look, the Wolfman's got a keg cup. Like, as long as you put in a little bit of minimal effort, you'll be fine. I think I struck gold with this Amazon purchase. I really did. I
Yeah.
really did.
Good. Well, I'm glad you were able to amortize the topical costume from 7 years ago. All right, let's play a game. Let's play a game
Uh,
called Halloween or Haven't Seen.
okay.
I'm gonna put in a good graphic and maybe like a little sound effect. It's gonna be fun. Okay, I'm gonna read a name of a movie, and you tell me if you've seen it, you say Halloween, and if you haven't seen it, you say haven't seen.
Okay. Right.
Ready?
hmm
Okay. Hocus Pocus.
I haven't seen.
Ghostbusters.
Halloween.
Beetlejuice.
Halloween. Oh, we saw that. We've seen that with Heath. It was great. Fantastic.
Casper.
Haven't seen.
E.T.
Haven't seen. It seems weird. Okay, I need to step in here. There may have been a time where having a child, I was like, oh, we should watch E.T. And I feel like I may have done it. But I just, this is also like world's greatest dad who drinks. Ugh. But there was one time when I watched we went to go see Elf in the movie theater. We sit down. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I turned to Brearley and I'm like, this is great. I've never seen this before. And she looks at me like, what? We had seen Elf the year before, but apparently there's a drinking game with Elf. And I swear to you, 10 minutes in the movie, you are toast. You're toast. So there's a possibility that I may have been like, oh, let's watch E.T. I don't know. You know what? Haven't seen. I'll just admit it.
Okay.
Haven't seen.
Young Frankenstein.
Oh, haven't seen. I know exactly what you're talking about. Haven't seen though.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Halloween. It's been forever though.
Scream.
Haven't seen. You know, it's weird. Heath just watched it. He watched a Scream sequel. Like, yeah. So kind of sad. But yeah.
Scary Movie.
Wait, which one's that one?
It's the spoof of Scream.
Oh, haven't seen, but I've seen all the good parts, the clips. You know what I mean? It's true.
The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Halloween.
The Addams Family.
Which one? Yeah. I mean, Jesus. It's been a while.
Say it.
Probably.
It's Halloween.
Halloween.
Addams Family Values.
I think that might be the Halloween. I think Halloween 1 may have been haven't seen. I don't know how that happened. I think it was like on the plane once. You know what I mean? One of those things.
Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, Halloween. Many times. Many times.
The Craft.
Oh, haven't seen, but these are good though.
And lastly, Halloween.
Oh, Halloween.
Halloween.
Too many times.
Halloween.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for playing this weird, random, stupid game I just made up.
Yeah, it was fun. It definitely took me back.
Let's you're kind of a food guy. This is by accident. This is the space that you
saddled with.
Walked into. Yeah. Yeah. Candy corn. Why do people hate candy corn? Why do people hate candy corn so much? Talk about it.
It doesn't taste like corn. It's just sweet. It has no nuance. It has no depth. Like it's just sugar. It's like, as you know, when I've worked on some of those baking shows and you see all that beautiful decoration, it's inedible. It's just sugar. I mean, it's edible in the sense that it's food, but it's like, why is it inedible? Because it's one note. It's one singular note. It's just boiled sugar that's hardened. Blah. And then the other problem too is it's the part of the candy mix that no one really wants, and then you're stuck with it. But it's still candy, and you want to have all the Halloween candy you can. I have a question for you, very dad related. How are the kids with? Do you have limits on how much candy they can eat?
I'm so glad you brought this up because I saw this article about this woman who there's a husband and wife who are in this feud because she limits the kids who are literally my kids' ages, 5 and 7, to 20 pieces of candy total. Feels kind of arbitrary. Do we have limits? Not really. I mean, we haven't been like, like go nuts. I think we're just like a within reason kind of eyeball it. I don't think we want the kids to feel like restricted. That's not how we operate with food. But no, we're just like, I think like we'll separate it at some point. And then I will tell you, like, I had to throw out Halloween candy like the other day from last year. Like it doesn't get eaten. It all, goes in a bowl and it disappears.
It's so funny. Like it's such a polar opposite for me. because I was essentially overweight starting at age 8, right? And I feel like I just ate all the candy I could till I like made myself sick, and I was just allowed to do that. But Heath just like he'll eat some and then that's it. Now I will tell you, there's a big challenge for us is he has a peanut. I mean, he's allergic to nuts. So with candy, we're like from jump, we've been like, oh my god, this is where peanut butter just gets thrown around. And I don't know if that kind of automatically was like, oh, let's make sure it's safe. But yeah, like it gets tossed. It's like he doesn't come close to finishing it. It's just never been an issue. And I remember too, like, when you go to certain houses and that would, like, there was a family, I have to tell you, grew up in the Midwest. And, there's some bigger people. It's just true. The cliche's true. And there was a house where, I'm not trying to be mean, but everyone was, obese. That's a medical term, right? Obese. They had the automatic car. And you saw, like, the obese child driving around the automatic car. And you're kind of like, you should be on a bicycle or something, really. But when you went to their house, oh my god, Neil, you got full. You get, normally it's like, give trick or treat. Here's like your snack size version of a Milky Way, full candy bars, 100 grains. I mean, I was like, this is so. I mean, they might as well have given me a whole pizza. I mean, just so decadent, so decadent. So I really
Let me
want
ask
to.
you a question though. Were you ever worried about razor blades in your
No, no. I remember watching that in Halloween, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Is that where
What?
that came from? That
Uh,
must. So is
yeah.
that the thing?
Who
Okay,
does? That's
mm,
insanity, isn't it? That's
okay.
insanity.
That's like Jaws. Like like it created this hysteria in the culture, but it actually wasn't very common.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw it in that damn movie, but also like the thought of that, like that makes me like want to get violent and find the freaking asshole who would do that. You know what I mean? That's horrible. Like
Mm,
that's could be like one of those horrible things I could think of.
yeah.
At the same time, no one's really buying fruit. No one's giving up because it was in an apple. I mean, you'd have to,
Mm,
we're all about the packaged food now too. It's all a
right.
big hustle, Neil. This whole world is just about buying stuff, selling stuff, buying stuff. That's all it is. That's all it
Yeah.
is. That's all it is.
So, so let me ask you another ethical question. Because the internet and parents are kind of divided on this,
Oh,
and
really?
it's somewhat topical,
Mm.
because he was canceled and then came back. He was uncanceled, which doesn't really happen. Jimmy Kimmel, for years now, he's been doing the I ate all your Halloween candy videos, where parents send in videos of themselves telling their
Mm.
kids that they ate all their Halloween candy, and then the kids react, and usually they're screaming and crying or angry or say something kind of cutting and biting, and it's and then occasionally there's kids who on video are like, "Oh, that's okay. Well, thanks for telling me. Well, that's I'm okay with it." And then that's even like more sad. Where do
Yeah.
you fall on the ethics of these videos?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's kind of mean. You know what I mean? I mean, the concept's funny. I'm not gonna lie there. I don't know if I'd want to really do it. As a dad with a kid who's about to be 14, I think about my mistakes. You know what I mean? I've made them, and I think the last thing I want to do is kind of dip into those controversial waters. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's like it is one of those
that's me.
things that
That's
like
my
it feels good at first. You're like, ah, that's so funny, and then you think about it, you're like, you're just teasing them. It's like saying like I took away your favorite stuffed animal. It's like, is it?
and you record that and then you share it again. It's like a double shame. It's like
Isn't
A,
it?
I'm lying to you, and then
Yeah,
B, I'm using it to get on Kimmel, which
yeah,
sadly
yeah,
feels a little close to something that would pop into this old noodle.
yeah.
Um,
It's kind of like dystopian in a way, right?
yeah, I mean, look, yet another way that the media moguls have found out how to get content without having to pay for it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
We
It's
don't need
I
writers.
want my moment. It's a little like, yeah,
Yeah. It's
Ooh,
kind of
what was
fun.
that show? I listened to this book on tape. I don't know who reads. You listen to books now, about the history of reality TV. Cue the Sun by Emily Nussbaum. She's so good. Such a great TV critic, New Yorker.
Hmm.
And she was talking about there was what was that show? It was Queen for a Day, where this isn't like such a new phenomenon. People used to they would like give their sob story, and the one who was voted with the worst life, or the worst tragedy befell them, they
Hmm.
would be queen for a day. They would win all these prizes and money, and like actually
Hmm.
then it was kind of a Seinfeld episode. Remember where George is trying to get the apartment, and he's just like, and then this happened, and then this happened. He's telling his woe
Wondering
is
this.
me. It's not
Hmm.
that dissimilar from just like trying to get on Kimmel by being like, my kid's freaking out.
I mean, Queen for a Day it has like kind of like, oh, you have a rough life. Let's treat this is just like I'm gonna trick your kid for a cheap laugh. Literally a cheap laugh. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So,
Still happy though that Kimmel's
I have
back.
to ask the question: do you think Kimmel should be canceled again? Then,
You know what? I just was saying that. I think I'm so happy that Kimmel's back. I don't think anyone should be canceled. I think, look, here's the thing. I don't have to, just because someone else does it doesn't mean I have to have it stopped. I just would not feel comfortable doing it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? There's
yeah,
that. And look, like, I'd probably watch it. I'd probably watch it and chuckle. I've not been, I never really watched a lot of Kimmel. It's kind of funny. I think I was ahead of the curve on not watching linear
yeah,
TV.
yeah,
I just watch the funny stuff on YouTube.
yeah.
But yeah, no, look, very simple solution here. I don't have to go through the effort of lying to my kid, recording it, submitting it, probably having to transfer the file from my phone to the computer. Like I could just choose not to do that. And that's my form of protest, Neil. Yeah.
Mm, mm. All right. What else? I think we're kind of coming to an end. I think we've squeezed all the sugar we can out of this Halloween theme.
Well
Um,
played.
you got
Well
you
played.
got anything else? Any other? You got like a Halloween PSA for the dads?
God, I feel like the one big thing is like all things, and I'm feeling this, especially just on the heels of my son. Like, it's like his braces came off, and it was a 21-month process, and I'm like, wait, that's over? That just happened, right? And I do feel like I'm in an era with him barreling through eighth grade with high school around the corner where I'm like, man, like, do everything you can. Because I do feel like I've watched his childhood really just kind of go. Like, I'm literally these days, I was talking about it last night with my wife. I was like, we're at the stage where we just kind of look at him sometimes and we're like, oh my God, like, he's turning into like he's growing, he's turning. I see the signs of manhood on him.
Yeah.
And so Halloween to me is peak. I have little kids, so do it all as much as you can, you
Yeah.
know yeah, just
You know
enjoy
what's
it.
interesting about that is kind of related, not ish, is like I used to feel like when I would look back at like photos or videos from when my daughter, who's 7, was like a baby or 1 or 2, I'd be like, oh my God, she's so much bigger now. I was going through my phone trying to make space because I have way too many pictures and videos, as you know. Um, and I saw a video of her from just a year ago.
Hmm.
Where it was like just 1 year ago, and I was like, oh my God, she looks so much younger just 1 year ago. And I was like, oh wow, it's starting to happen where like she shoots up or just like starts to become, more of like a kid and less of like a toddler baby, whatever it is. And like, I was just like, I couldn't believe that was only a year ago.
And
Uh,
she's 7, 8.
7, yeah, 7.
I mean, I will tell you, like, I'm in the middle school years, right? And it is crazy how generally all the girls mature physically at a faster rate than the boys. It's just like you're like, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
some
I'm gonna stop
exceptions.
you right there. I think, thank you for coming on, JD Vance, and we're no, I'm just kidding.
Wait, JD, did you talk about this?
Oh my
Oh, you
God,
did.
did you see that clip?
I try not to watch the guy.
All right, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. It's too good. All
Oh,
right. Well,
really?
let's. Hey, happy Halloween! Don't eat any razor blades, okay?
I hope it's spooktacular. It's a great sketch. You got to admit. 31 levels of fright. Who is David S. Pumpkins? Its own thing.
The gift that
It's
keeps on
amazing.
giving.
It's so
All right.
good.
Happy Halloween, Ollie.
Happy Halloween.